Hello, students! So, what we have seen till now is that plants also breathe like other organisms. They take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide during respiration. But the only difference is that animals have more complex system of respiration, while in plants it is simple. Every exposed part of it can exchange gases directly. Leaves have special structures called stomata. Stems have special cells called lenticels, or they have the specialized outer surfaces. And roots have root hairs where the exchange of gases takes place. So let us see all of them in detail today. Let's start with exchange of gases in leaves. The main sites for gaseous exchange in leaves are stomata. The tiny openings on the lower surfaces of the leaves are stomata. Through these stomata, oxygen diffuses inside the plant and carbon dioxide diffuses out in the air. The lower surface of the leaves is full of thousands of stomata. But very interesting fact is that number of stomata on lower surface is much more as compared to the number of stomata on upper surface. And why this is so? It's very simple, students. To reduce the amount of transpiration happening in the plant leaves. Now, students, these stomata are small openings that are present on the leaf epidermal cells. Now, if we observe them under a light microscope, each stomata is a cavity surrounded by two guard cells. The guard cells are kidney-shaped and contain chloroplast. Note, students, they contain chloroplast. That is, they can perform photosynthesis for their own. These cells control opening and closing of stomata. The cause of opening and closing of stomata is a change in turgidity of the guard cells. When guard cells absorb water, they swell, which causes opening of the stomatal pore. Whereas when water moves out of the cells, they shrink and this closes the stomatal pore. And why these cells absorb or release water? According to a theory, the turgidity of guard cells depends upon the presence of sugar and starch in them. In the presence of sunlight, the guard cells around the stomatal pore prepare sugar and starch via photosynthesis, as they have chlorophyll. And as we know, sugar is soluble in water, which in turn increases the concentration of solute in guard cells. Due to this, water enters into these cells from the neighboring cells by osmosis. Hence, they swell and the stomata open up. Now, when there is no sunlight, the sugar present in the guard cells gets used up, or excess gets converted into starch. The starch is insoluble, and this is why the cytoplasm of guard cells has now lower concentration of solute than that of neighboring cells. So water from guard cells goes out to these neighboring cells by osmosis, making guard cells shrink and stomata to close. Now when stomata are open, exchange of gases happens between them and the surrounding air and plants can breathe. So now let us see exchange of gases in stems. In case of young stems, the air from the stomata diffuses out and moves through different parts of the plant for respiration. Yes, you heard it right. Young and green stems have stomata present on their surface, and so these stems can breathe in through them. While in matured stems of woody or higher plants, special cells called lenticels are known to perform gaseous exchange instead of stomata. Lenticels are tiny pores and are visible on the surface of a stem as a raised powdery spot. So it's simple for stem, isn't it? Yes. Now let's see exchange of gases in roots. To know about what happens in roots, first observe this beaker. It is full of soil. Is there any empty space left in this beaker? This shows that there is empty space between these soil particles, which gets filled up by additional water. Empty spaces are there in soil also, which contain air. And this air is used up by the plant roots for breathing. Roots have special structures called root hairs, which are single-celled thick in order to absorb oxygen and give out CO2 from the soil. In the absence of air in the surrounding soil, the root hairs fail to respire and pass on the oxygen to the other cells, and thus roots die and the plants die. This is why plants in waterlogged conditions die. Have you come across any such plants which can grow in waterlogged condition or in marshy swamps where soil is locked with water? Pause the video and think about it. Is it possible? Yes, this is possible. Mangroves are such plants that grow in waterlogged soil. To respire in such condition, the roots of mangroves grow out of marshy soil. These breathing roots are called as pneumatophores. So all throughout the video, we have been talking about diffusion or exchange of gases. The direction of diffusion depends upon the environmental conditions and the requirements of the plants. For example, at night, when there is no photosynthesis occurring, carbon dioxide release is the major exchange activity going on. While during the day, most of the CO2 generated during respiration is used up internally by plants for photosynthesis process. And hence, there is little CO2 release. Instead, oxygen release is the major exchange activity during the daytime or major diffusion activity during the daytime. So what we have seen in this video that in plants, exchange of gases happen in all the parts. Leaves have stomata, stems have lenticels or specialized surface, and roots have root hairs which carry out exchange of gases. In our coming videos, we will learn about new system that is circulatory system.